Little brother must be on his guard. Many children disappear, kidnapped. Little brother, be very careful. Little brother, don't worry. Listen to one.
Here, another kid.
Run, Donnelly! Hide! I think you'd better leave him alone!
Wait, kid. I'm not doing you any harm. Where are you? Come on, little boy. Come on, little boy. Ow! My ears! It hurts! Ah!
Got him! Open the door! Hurry! Hurry up! Okay, let's go!
Welcome back to another Gaming Memories video. Here we are taking a look at another unique game that was released on the PlayStation back in 1997, and that is The City of Lost Children. And this was actually based off of a movie of the same game that came out not too long before this year. So it's kind of got the same premise. Now the one thing that is noticeable with this game here, even though it's based on a movie, it's not a horror game, but it does have certain elements of it that do stand out to be kind of like, that do kind of get under your skin a little bit, and there's like creepy elements, even sound effects and so forth, that kind of do remind you of games that are like horror games that use a similar style of graphics and so forth, likes of the Resident Evil series and that. Because it uses 3D or 3D characters with pre-rendered backgrounds, which if you've played any type of games like of Resident Evil and so forth, you would actually be familiar with it. But in this game you're not using weapons. It's more kind of story focused, and you have to interact with different elements throughout the course of the game in order to complete objectives. And sometimes if you don't complete objectives within a certain time frame, it will trigger another cutscene, and then you'll be placed in another area, and then you actually have to find a way to get out of that area and then go about your tasks and so forth. It's a unique type of concept, and graphically the game is actually very good, I think, in the backgrounds. Maybe not as much on the characters compared to other games at the time. The controls can be a little bit on the fiddly side, and it's not apparently evident in the game when you first play it as exactly what it is that you're supposed to do. It can sometimes throw you off, and you can be definitely left confused by what exactly you're supposed to do. But when you do figure out what you actually need to do, this is actually, in my opinion, actually a decent game. I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. I played it quite a few times back in the day, and I actually enjoyed the story to it. But for me, I just love these style of games, pre-rendered style background games. And again, it was a different take on this type of genre, that you weren't running around like derelict mansions filled with loads of monsters and so forth. You were actually having to do certain tasks, but at the same time you were required to do tasks by, say, adults, but then you also had to hide from people as well, which was something that was very different as well. You had to kind of be kind of sly and kind of cheeky in how you presented and how you done things, which was kind of a cool concept. So basically the story of it is based around this particular town or city where there's children are constantly being kidnapped, and they're obviously being sold off for money, but they're being tasked with doing like all the dirty work, all the like robbing like houses and robbing people of money and breaking into things that they wouldn't do themselves, so they actually get the children to do it. So that's kind of the premise of the game itself. but it actually has a unique story type of concept, and it is very engaging, and it actually plays quite well. Again, you get beyond the fiddly controls and so forth, and there is actually a decent game here. It actually does have quite a quirky and unique type of atmosphere, even though it's not survival horror, but it definitely has a dark and gritty kind of tone to it as well. And it does kind of set a unique vibe, that even though there's no like monsters and so forth in it, but it's got an eerie kind of presence to it, which is kind of cool, and it definitely captures that imagination of what they're trying to do. Now, I know this game did get kind of like mixed reviews in magazines back in the day, but I do know that a lot of game magazines did actually like it, and they liked what the game was trying to achieve at the time. But at the same time, the one thing that I enjoyed about it and the whole era of the PlayStation was that this was an era for experimentation, and you could see that developers were really trying to do different things with games. They were taking a concept that was tried and tested, and they were trying to add something different to it. And may not have always worked, but this game actually did work. Right, it may not be as polished as say some other games, well-known games, as I mentioned, but it held its own in its own right, because it added a lot to it that other games didn't actually have. It had a unique story and characters and so forth, and it was actually a good game. I enjoyed it now. I'll be honest, I still actually play it from time to time. I thought it was a very good game on the PlayStation, even though it was very different, and it was different to the type of games that I would be used to playing. But because I'm a big fan of pre-rendered background games and exploration and so forth, I was kind of looking at this and thinking to myself, you know what, this might actually be a good opportunity to play something different, and I wasn't disappointed. It was very different, and it took a bit longer to figure out what to do in terms of some of the tasks and puzzles and so forth, but when you got the hang of it, you actually started to enjoy the game. It was actually a decent game. But again, the whole era of the PlayStation as well was a lot of games. It was a whole load of unique, quirky type of style games that you genuinely wouldn't see anywhere else. That was the thing I loved about the whole 32-bit era, and games like this are a proven example of that. Because when you look at the modern era of games, yes, there are absolutely tons of games, and there is a lot of independent or indie developers creating like loads of really cool and quirky type games, but a lot of them don't usually go for these type of unique style of games. They don't kind of there is a lot of ones that don't really try to do something that's unique like this here. Even the mainstream developers don't. They always stick to the tried and tested routes. Like say if it's a first person shooter, that's what they stick with. If it's a Resident Evil clone, like a modern style game over the shoulder shooter, that's what they stick with. And you can see loads of different franchises, but they've all got similar type of concepts, and it's like as if it's a rinse and repeat, copy and paste kind of method. Now, they're all unique in their own way. They're all really good games, and they do all offer something unique, but you can see the same rinse and repeat strategies over and over again. So back in the day of the PlayStation, there was a lot more. They allowed for a lot more room for experimentation. There was a lot of really, really unique and quirky games that came out around this period that you wouldn't see anywhere else, and that you'll never see today, and you probably will never see again. That's why this era of gaming is definitely my favourite, because there was so many of these type of games out there. Now I know they may not have been for everybody, but there was definitely always something on the PlayStation that really suited any type of gamer out there. You really did have something for everybody if you're willing to sit down and be patient with it and actually allow yourself to actually enjoy it. And this was one of those games. I will admit, the first time I actually did play it, I was kind of a little bit frustrated myself, and my brothers and say a couple of my friends, because we were all big Resident Evil fans and we loved these style of games, and we were kind of a bit miffed by how this game actually played at first, because it wasn't as straightforward to figure everything out compared to like Resident Evil or whatever other games that we played. But when we did actually get into it, we all actually enjoyed it and actually thought it was actually a good game, because if you like exploration elements and with unique kind of story twists and different things that happen depending on what you do, it's definitely a good game for you to check out. I do remember now the first time I ever did play this, we actually rented it out of the local guy we used to rent out games off of, close to where I used to live. growing up, and he actually had this, and we rented it out one weekend, and we struggled to actually play it, but we were actually reluctant to give up on it because like it does have the premise of a good game, but I think we at the time we were just impatient. We kind of just didn't really know what was going on, and we just wanted to get the progress in the game. But then after a while, once it got going on it, we actually did. And what actually happened was then we rented it out then a couple of months later and played it again, and then it started to make sense. It's definitely one of those games. It may not actually make sense to you the first time you actually play it, but once you play it a few times and actually just sit down with it and just allow yourself to acknowledge it and just be patient with it, you actually it will start to make sense, and things will just suddenly start to click. You'll understand what it is that you need to do, and you'll have a better idea of the concept of the story and how to interact with elements and how things work and so forth, and you actually will start to enjoy it. So let's say myself and say my brothers and then say my friends, when we're all playing in these type of games at the time, we actually all did actually get into it and actually enjoy it.
Can't manage it.
So it's definitely something unique. It's very different from what you would normally see in these type of games. But like I said, going back, I love pre-rendered background games, and a lot of the guys, my mates and that used to play games with over the years growing up, we were all big fans of these type of games like Resident Evil and all that. So to play anything that used pre-rendered backgrounds, we always wanted to give it a go and see what it was like, because they were always unique. There was always really good exploration elements about it, and were always kind of like quirky. And this definitely was one of those games, and it definitely worked. So it did. And we definitely enjoyed it. Again, it was a little bit fiddly with the controls and trying to interact with things, but when you got things to work, it started to make sense, and you started to enjoy it more and more. And the more you got things to work, the more you wanted to keep playing it, and that's ideally what you want from a game anyway. So it took a while, but you definitely got that from it.
Damn it! What's going on there? Is that... Yes, there's someone by the lighthouse. It's that kid again. She better not be still hanging around when I get over there. Gotcha. And don't think I'm gonna let you off.
So as you can see here, because I haven't played it in a while, this was an instance where I actually forgot myself and I had to actually do something completely different. So depending on whatever choice you make, will actually have a reflection on how the game changes. So ideally with there, you'd have to go and hide, but if you don't hide, you get caught. If you get caught, then you get thrown into like a warehouse or a cellar, so you have to go and find your way out. And that was the thing about this game. If you liked exploration and liked interacting with different environments and people so that you could try and progress through the story, and you like puzzles and like solving puzzles and so forth, this was a cool game to actually enjoy and play. And it had all those quirky kind of features, and it definitely had a unique kind of atmosphere to it that really kept you hooked. So it did. I have to say now, I definitely enjoyed it now back in the day. But I love these type of games anyway, so anything like this here, or Resident Evil, or anything like that type of game with pre-rendered backgrounds, I always really enjoyed. So if you haven't played this game, I would definitely look into it. I would highly recommend, if you do enjoy these type of games, I would definitely recommend that you at least go and experience it and see what you think for yourself. Now, I know it may not be for everybody, because of its unique style and plot line and so forth, and it may be a bit slower paced compared to some other games that you might be used to. But if you're into these type of games at all, and these type of style of games, this here is definitely one to look out for, and actually just give it a go, especially if you enjoy puzzles and a good interactive story in that. This here I would highly recommend that you actually give it a go and just see what you think for yourself.
There was an old man with a bottle. Can't remember the rest.
I don't think I can manage it. I can't manage it. Why can't I open this flipping door? I can't manage it.
So what are your thoughts on this game, The City of Lost Children? Did you play it back in the day? And did you own it? If so, did you
Manage it.
enjoy it? What are your thoughts on
Can't
it?
manage it. I can't do anything.
Make sure to share that in the comments below. So if you have enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, also subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon to be updated whenever I release future videos, as I will be replaying old classic games like this here and also playing other types of games that I never got to play back in the days of the PlayStation, and sharing my thoughts, memories and experiences with all of you. Plus it helps greatly with creating more videos and increasing engagement for the channel also. So until next time,
That's the view.
keep playing those classic games and enjoying them,
Here.
and make sure to keep those gaming memories alive.